Hi, this is Dr. Bill Bernet, and I'm going to be talking today about misinformation. And what I'm referring to is misinformation or false information or fake news about parental alienation. This happens a lot. Misinformation happens a lot in journal articles, in magazines, in newspapers, and in presentations that are made. And I think that people who are interested in this topic and the topic of parental alienation need to be aware that a lot of things that you see or that you read are not correct. They're fake. And I'm going to give you 3 or 4 examples of that right now. So here's one. This was in a book that was published by the American Psychological Association a year or so ago. And this is what it said: that parental alienation theory assumes that a child's strong alignment with one parent while rejecting a relationship with the other parent is without legitimate justification. So what's wrong with that? What's wrong with it is that it says that we who are interested in parental alienation, that we assume that the child's rejection is without justification. And nobody assumes that. We do an investigation, we collect information, we find out information from the child and from other people. So nobody would assume that just because the child rejects a parent, that it's because of parental alienation. Here's another example. This was written in a book. The use of parental alienation is now considered inadmissible in a number of courts as it does not meet the established legal standard for the admissibility of expert testimony. So what's wrong with that? Well, it's totally false. It is false to say that the concept of parental alienation is not admissible in court. And in fact, there are hundreds of examples. In the recent book that we published called Parental Alienation, Science and Law, the appendix has almost 1,200 cases in the United States in which parental alienation was presented and considered by courts. So it's really just false to say that it's not accepted in court. Here's another one. Somebody wrote this in an article. In these types of cases, whenever a preferred parent speaks poorly about the rejected parent, it is viewed as an alienating behavior. Is that correct? Is it true to say that any time a parent speaks badly about the other parent, that's an example of an alienating behavior? Well, that's not true. That's not a correct statement. I mean, parents say negative things, unfortunate things about the other parent lots of times. It's very common. And it doesn't mean just because that happens that that's an alienating behavior. So that's a fake information. That's misinformation. Here's just one more that actually got to the House of Representatives of the United States Congress. That there was a resolution being considered with the following phrase in it: whereas scientifically unsound theories such as parental alienation syndrome, enmeshment, and some other things are frequently applied to reject parents' reports of abuse. So that phrase, that parental alienation syndrome is a scientifically unsound theory, that was about to be passed by the House of Representatives. But we intervened. I went and some other people went, talked to congressmen, wrote letters, contacted people, and that phrase was taken out. So that just is an example of how serious this kind of misinformation can be if the actual House of Representatives could have passed a resolution with that phrase. Fortunately, it was removed. So what does all this mean? What it means is you have to be really careful about what you read. You can't believe everything that you read. If you're reading something or seeing in a meeting or a conference something that doesn't seem to make sense, don't automatically believe it. You need to go back to the original source and see what was actually said in the beginning, because what you may be hearing misinformation. Thank you.